We all recognize he is a clown, that he is hilariously unqualified for this, that he's really bad at this, and that he does not have America's best interests. We recognize it's justified and crazy.
Would it be fair to question the intellect of the American voter?
Oh no, they're stupid as shit. I hate to be this with
This is James O'Keefe. How are you? Do you have a comment, sir, about the Russia story?
Then why is CNN constantly Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
I would encourage everybody in this room and frankly everybody across the country to take a look at it.
The Russia thing is just a big nothing burger.
I'm changing it from fake news, though.
Doesn't that undermine?
Very fake news.
I know, but aren't you?
He doesn't believe anything that these people believe. We recognize it's justified and crazy.
Mr. Zucker, this is James O'Keefe. How are you? Do you have a comment, sir, about the Russia story?
Fake news. We continue our American Pravda investigations inside America's mainstream media with part 3 on CNN. I'd like you to meet Jimmy Carr. He's a producer for CNN's morning show, New Day. His unvarnished and hate-filled opinion of President Trump gives us some insight into how people at CNN really think.
CNN, it's an impartial, right? What's the view of Trump in like the kind of media circle, basically?
On the inside, we all recognize he is a clown, that he is hilariously unqualified for this, that he's really bad at this, and that he does not have America's best interests. We recognize it's justified and crazy. I mean, because look, here's the deal. This is a man who's not actually a Republican. He's not actually a Republican. He just adopted that because that was the party he thought he could win it. He doesn't believe anything that these people believe. The man's on his third life. I guarantee you he's paid for abortions. He doesn't give a shit about abortion. He doesn't care about gay marriage. He doesn't even really care about the budget.
Right.
The man's upping the budget even though he promised to rein it in.
You mean he'd be pro-gay marriage or anti-gay marriage?
I don't think he gives a shit.
Our critics will say Jimmy Carr only speaks for himself. But he told us in no uncertain terms that almost everyone at CNN agrees with his sentiments.
90% of us are on board with just the fact that he's crazy.
What do you mean? 90% are on board what? With her?
No, I wouldn't say with her, but just acknowledge the fact that he's batshit.
90%.
You're
My direct co-lead.
Carr doesn't have a very high opinion of CNN's audience either.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to question I don't want to be rude here, I'll be careful how I put it. You're at least some percentage Irish, Scottish. Would it be fair to question the intellect of the American voter?
Oh no, they're stupid as shit. I hate to be this with
His harsh words didn't stop there.
Now, and of course, the thing that pisses the White House off so much, because we actually had that awful woman, Kellyanne Conway, you know, the blonde.
Who's sorry?
Kellyanne Conway.
What's she look like? Is she the one with
She
the?
looks like she got hit with a shovel. So she looks like she got hit with a shovel.
Carr reiterated what we've heard from other CNN staffers that we filmed. This is John Bonifield from CNN's Atlanta headquarters. Did you get the location this time? Paul Farhi of The Washington Post?
Then why is CNN constantly Russia this, Russia that?
Because it's ratings.
Because it's ratings?
Our ratings are incredible right now. And he goes, just to give you some context, President Trump pulled out of the climate accords, and for a day and a half we covered the climate accords, and the CEO of CNN said in our internal meeting, he said, good job everybody covering the climate accords, but we're done with it, let's get back to Russia.
Carr reaffirms that it's CNN's brass that wants the Russia story because it's good for the ratings. Money.
It's decisions made by people higher than me, and if they go, wow, your ratings are soaring right now, keep up what you're doing. Well, what we're doing is Russia, ISIS, London terror, shooting in Chicago. That's it.
Carr says it's ratings, and CNN host and political commentator Van Jones says the Russia story is fake news.
The Russia thing is just a big nothing burger.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think that
There's nothing there you can do to get a break.
It now seems pretty clear that CNN's bias and dishonesty is a plague in the once respected news organization.
This is New Day with Chris Cuomo and Allison Camerata.
Jimmy Carr works for New Day, CNN's morning show. It's hosted by Alison Camerata and Chris Cuomo, who once said our methods can be quite effective.
James O'Keefe is definitely someone who's identified with the right, but Eric Garner's daughter isn't, and she's the one who said that Al is all about the money.
She was caught on tape not knowing she was being videotaped, so she wouldn't have said that.
Sometimes that's when you're the most honest.
Well, there you go.
Funny enough, we found further evidence of CNN's culture of malpractice and deception on New Day itself. On March 30th, Carr's show aired what looked to be a pretty routine political story featuring Camerata and a panel of 6 Trump voters.
So here we are, 60 plus days into his presidency, and we want to get your grades and your impressions of how President Trump is doing.
The raw audio of the panel interview was leaked to us. It lasted nearly an hour and a half, cut down to only 8 minutes when it aired. What's striking is not what Carr and his fellow producers chose to include, but what they chose to omit. It's called selective editing. Let's look at this portion, when panelist William Baer is discussing the president's claim of voter fraud.
And we don't know how, as far as the votes and fraud and everything else. I mean, my assumption is that he probably would have gotten elected by a higher number than what the results actually showed.
But are you saying that you believe that there were 3 to 5 million illegals who voted?
Oh, well, I know that in New Hampshire. I've seen it. I've seen busloads of people.
Again, I mean, this is what we keep coming back to. When you say you've seen it, do you mean a dozen? Or do you mean 3 million? There's a difference.
Well, obviously, there's only 1.5 million people in New Hampshire, so I didn't say 3 million people in New Hampshire.
The number that President Trump said was 3 to 5 million illegals.
I don't doubt that.
No, he said in California.
Extrapolating based on what I've seen with my own eyes, busloads of people coming in, whether they're illegal, meaning they came into the country illegally, or they're illegal voters. They came over from Massachusetts into New Hampshire.
Billy, are you sticking with that you've seen busloads or no?
I have seen busloads. I guess I can't cite the busloads that I've seen and where I've seen them, but on television I've seen it.
Baer is painted as a conspiracy theorist. Look at the on-screen chyron. Quote, Trump voters on his unproven voter fraud claims, unquote. The implication, no evidence of voter fraud whatsoever. When Camerata asks for proof, the panelist has no answer. Or so it seems. Here's the raw audio from immediately after the edit.
I have seen busloads. I guess I can't cite the busloads that I've seen and where I've seen them, but on television I've seen it. And I mean, has anybody looked into like what James O'Keefe has done when he went undercover to these various polling places? That was voter registration. He went in and basically was ready to vote as somebody else. Nobody asked for ID. I was actually a poll watcher in New Jersey, and I saw what was going on there. There were college students voting, and you use that's right, or you use a provisional ballot, and it's never challenged. They just put it right through. I mean, this is common.
At the moment Baer is about to cite the evidence to support his claim, CNN ends the clip. The piece suggests that Baer did not have a legitimate answer to Camerata's question. In actuality, the answer was cut because it didn't fit their narrative. This is a textbook lie of omission. In the last week, CNN's credibility as a news organization has been put in serious doubt. We wondered what CEO Jeff Zucker would have to say about it.
This is James O'Keefe. How are you? Do you have a comment, sir, about the Russia story? Okay. That was pretty cowardly there, wasn't it?
Zucker did not wish to talk to me. That's not surprising. His network has been exposed as not merely just biased, but corrupt and deeply dishonest. His leadership must now be in question. In the final analysis, this is about a conflict of visions between a dying legacy mainstream establishment media that seeks to characterize and interpret reality versus an American people that craves unfiltered, raw, real, true information. No more fake news.